To become a top student, you must stop believing, "I am smart, but I didn't study well," to justify your low scores in tests. The truth is that you are neither smart nor anything else. You were procrastinating, stalling, and postponing, and you didn't study. But your brain sedated you with talk like this and convinced you of it, and it fooled you to keep you in the rank of the neglectful. Your brain is not to be underestimated. Your brain is designed to take the shortest paths leading to a reward. Therefore, you notice that heavy tasks like studying have their rewards delayed until the end of the year, so the brain is not enthusiastic about them. While browsing, for example, TikTok, gives immediate dopamine rewards to the brain, so it prefers them. This, in short, is what makes you love browsing videos instead of studying. Despite that, sometimes your brain makes you escape from a heavy task like studying to a heavier task like cleaning the house or going to the gym and exhausting yourself with exercise, anything just to avoid facing studying and books. The reason is your brain is trying to protect you. Imagine, it is designed for this. So when you thought of studying as pain and a frightening task, your brain immediately started running away from it to something less painful, even if it was harder. We said your brain is not to be underestimated. Today, in this episode, we will learn ways to hack the brain so that it thinks in different ways. These methods are followed by all successful people without exception, and God willing, by the end of this episode, you will achieve full marks with less effort. Let's start with the first problem on your path to excellence. Problem number 1, delay and procrastination in starting. And here I give you good news. You are not alone in that. The problem of procrastination affects 90% of students, as this study showed. All studies and research that discussed this matter all agreed that the solution to this problem is to involve yourself. Imagine, yes, and this is the only haste you will not regret. Meaning, in short, throw yourself into studying and do not wait for the right moment. Involve yourself. This writer says, if you have to eat a frog, it's better to eat it without appetizers. Something disgusting, but understand the idea. The idea is, if you eat the frog immediately, the task is over and done with. But if you spend your time eating appetizers, eating the frog will become very difficult for you. Because, my friend, if you do not involve yourself and start immediately, you will find yourself holding your phone unconsciously and opening YouTube, for example, and starting to search for anything that makes you forget that paper pile. And you say, I will rest for 5 minutes, or I will rest until the hour becomes 0. But you know and I know you are a liar. Subhanallah, when you ran away from your studies and opened YouTube, I appeared to you and exposed you. Involve yourself. Start after you finish this episode, of course. Problem number 2 on your path to excellence, poor retention. Of course, you involved yourself, you started, and you pushed yourself to study. But you studied for an hour and felt that you did not understand anything. It always happens. Or nothing sticks in your head. It also happens to me. And you think that arbitrary repetition is the solution. My dear brother, my noble sister, you cannot become top students in this way even if you study a lot. Therefore, the solution is to change your method of studying. We will study according to this rule, which is a set of steps for studying that rely on studying smartly, not by effort. And the last step in it, I am sure you will really like it. Right with me. The first step on your path to proper studying. Survey. Take a comprehensive look at the material. Read the index, the main titles, and the subheadings. Look at the drawings and pictures. Read as if you were reading a newspaper. The purpose here is to build a preliminary mind map of the material. The second step, identify the basic pillars. There is a principle called the Pareto principle, which says 20% of the causes usually lead to 80% of the results and rewards. Meaning, in other words, if you know the most important 20% in the material, you will achieve an 80% mark in the subject you are being tested on. Imagine. Okay, how do I know the most important 20% of my material to study it or to study only it? There are three sources that most top students rely on to know the most important 20%. First, look at the objectives of the unit or the lesson. Yes, those lines that no one pays attention to. Often, the questions revolve around them. Second, previous exam questions give you an idea of which topics are usually asked, and perhaps they repeat the same exact questions. Third, and most importantly, the notes that the teacher or professor adds in the lecture or lesson and emphasizes. Therefore, attending classes is one of the characteristics of top students. This is how the excellent student studies. You find him studying little, but he achieves high results. The reason is these three sources. And this is called studying smartly, not by effort. The third step, after we said survey and identify the basic pillars, the third step is ask. After you know the most important topics in the material that are usually questioned, you start expanding on those topics by converting all the subheadings into questions. For example, the title Mechanism of Respiration. Ask yourself, how does the process of respiration occur? And so on. The fourth step, read aloud and attentively. Read with focus, paragraph by paragraph, and try to understand everything you read. If you find something you do not understand, ask about it immediately, and do not neglect it because you will find it is the first question on the test paper, unfortunately. The top student always has an answer to all the questions that other students do not know because of this point. He does not neglect anything he doesn't understand. The fifth step, explain. Close the book and explain the paragraph to the wall. If you find yourself unable to explain a concept to the wall, be sure that you did not understand that concept, so go back to your book and try again. You cannot explain what you do not understand. The purpose of studying is to discover the gaps in your understanding and try to fill them yourself. The sixth step, do not complete tasks. If you needed to interrupt your study, for example, to pray or to answer the call of a parent, deliberately leave your current task incomplete. Your brain hates open files. So when you study 18 pages out of 20 pages in a lesson, your mind remains in cognitive tension, trying to bring you back to the book to complete the remaining 2 pages to complete that task. Here you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Your brain will keep remembering the information, and you will guarantee returning to your book. And when you return to complete what is left, it is natural for you to slip into the next lesson, and so on. This phenomenon was discovered by a psychologist when she was in a restaurant. Imagine. She noticed that the waiter remembered the orders of customers who had not yet paid, but he forgot the orders immediately after they were paid and completed. The important thing is that this is a mechanism for hacking the brain, to keep the task open and not complete it. Excellence is a matter of hacking the brain, meaning thinking in different ways achieves your goal from studying. The 7th and final step, sleep. I told you you would love this step in studying. Imagine you are forced to do it. Some people, because they don't understand how their brain works, think that staying up until morning and going to the test without sleep is gaining time. They know nothing about hacking the brain and how it works. This neuroscientist, in his book, Why We Sleep, said a very important sentence. Sleep is not an escape from learning, but it is the stage in which learning becomes permanent, because information that has not passed through a complete sleep cycle does not remain in short-term memory and thus evaporates within hours, meaning you will not be benefited from it in anything in your test if you stay awake. And when you sleep, the information is converted to long-term memory, and thus you can utilize it efficiently in your test. Problem number 4 on your path to excellence, exam flu. After you know how to solve the problem of procrastination, how to study efficiently and effectively, and how and why to avoid study drugs, we have one enemy left on our way to the full mark in your tests. Yes, your immune system, which leaves all the days of the year and only chooses to weaken during exam week. Subhanallah. And this is, by the way, a very natural thing. When you are stressed as a natural consequence of the tests, the hormone cortisol rises in your body, and this hinders the work of the fighting immune cells in your body. Consequently, your immune system becomes weak, and then you become an easy target for any passing virus. This is how what we call exam flu spreads. Here you must hack your brain, first by reducing stress, and second by raising the strength of your immune system. Meaning, since the cause is the rise of the cortisol hormone, we must look for a way to indirectly lower it. The first way is good sleep. Yes, sleep is one of the essential factors in being a top student, contrary to what most people believe. Sleep during exam week should not be less than 8 hours daily. This is necessary in the midst of exams because it is a vital necessity for the functioning of your immune system. The second way to reduce cortisol is physical activity. Exercise is the magical solution for reducing stress. I'm not saying to leave your studies during exam week and spend hours at the gym, but brisk walking for 30 minutes daily will be enough, or practicing stretching exercises at home in your room, and do not underestimate their effect on you. Then the next way to lower the stress hormone is good nutrition and personal hygiene. Yes, unfortunately, some students completely neglect their cleanliness during exam week, and then they wonder why they get sick specifically during this week. Do not be like these students. Commit to washing your hands with soap and water and avoid touching your face, especially in crowded school halls and classrooms, so that the infection does not transmit directly to you. Oh, excellent student, since you have reached here, I salute you for your concern for your future. I have a piece of advice for you. What do you think about earning good deeds, hasanat, for every second you spend among your books, and even for every second you spend sleeping, so you earn high grades in your worldly tests and good deeds in your afterlife? The treasure is in one word, niyyah. The Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, "Deeds are only by intentions, and every person will have only what he intended." Place in your intention that your studying and staying up late are an act of obedience to Allah Almighty in seeking beneficial knowledge, removing ignorance from yourself, and bringing joy to the hearts of your parents. Finally, remember that everything mentioned in this episode is merely taking the means, while the grades, in the end, are a decreed provision for you before you were created. Therefore, do not be harsh on yourself if you put forth your best effort once and were not successful, and accustom yourself to accepting the decree and destiny of Allah with patience and broadness. I ask Allah to grant you success in your tests, and farewell.